Sorry, guys. I did the scheduled live stream thing, and then I didn't realize that in order for it to work, you need to actually have a streaming software, which I don't have yet. I'm gonna have to get StreamYard probably today or tomorrow. I'm just gonna have to do it. But here I am. Let's talk about Afghanistan. We have 6 people with us. Sorry for the way I was trying to figure out this live streaming thing, and I was like, it doesn't want to work. I don't know what's wrong. And then YouTube says, oh, you need a live stream software. Okay, fine. So I'm just doing it the old cut and dry way. Hello, Colonel Quail, and hello, Rusty Shackleford. I got 9 people. This is a get together. Have you ever made Armenian pastry called gatanzuk? It's like, no, I haven't. But the Caucasus are very well known for making pastries and baked bread and all that stuff. Yes, StreamYard is simple. I tried to get it, but it says that I need to wait 24 hours for it until it works. So yeah, I couldn't get it today. Couldn't use it today. It's kind of a pain in the ass. But let's see here. I'm just gonna wait for more people to pop up. Until then, shoot at me your questions. It works. The dogs keep barking at the neighbors, and what I did was I built a wall so that they don't hop on my mints. Hello, pussy. This cat loves computers. Yes, Rambo 3 was American propaganda. Like total hardcore American propaganda. Got 10 people on. Yeah, I really wish I had StreamYard now. That way I could just allow people to call in, and we could have a kind of like a talk show. Yes, I've thought about doing dessert videos. I just don't know what exactly I could make a fig cake. Fig cake is amazing, by the way. Fig cake with almonds and pistachios. It's very tasty. Very tasty. I'm a huge foodie. I love food. I love cooking. I love the aesthetics of food. Hello, pussy. This is a white pussy right here, guys. Pure white. 100%. Aryan race cat right here, guys. Got 10 people on. So I guess I'll just get right down to it. Let's talk about Afghanistan. So Afghanistan, I mean, it goes without saying that it's completely messed up. Do I think that they'll release 15,000 Americans? I don't know. Let's see here. 15,000 Americans. I haven't read this. Maybe I'm misinformed. Oh yeah, 15,000 Americans remain in Afghanistan. That's why Biden sent thousands of US troops to evacuate the embassy. You could have like an Iran hostage type crisis take place over there. Oh no, dude, what's this Ethiopian script that you're sending me here? That's what I was thinking. It could be like another Iranian hostage crisis, but then you'll have a little deal behind the curtains between the Taliban and the US, and they'll say, "Well, release Oh, oh, now this would be interesting. Guys, a lot of people don't believe this. They don't believe this. They consider it to be a conspiracy theory, but there's so much evidence that proves this. It's not really a conspiracy theory anymore. So basically, during the Iran hostage crisis, people within the United States government, diplomats and such, they met with people in Iran. They met not in Iran, but they met with them in Madrid, Iranian officials in Madrid, and they said, "Look, we know that Reagan's going to win the election against Jimmy Carter. Stall Carter's negotiations and release the hostages right after Reagan wins. That way, it makes Reagan look strong. And in turn, we will allow you guys to buy U.S. arms and Israeli weapons." And the Iranians said, "Great, it's a deal." And that's exactly what happened. For years, they were saying that this was a big conspiracy theory. The reality is that it's not. There's so much documentation that proves this. There are people who were involved in the arms deals who have talked about this. It's really a fact. I think it's safe to say that this is a fact. The you know the Reagan arms for hostages conspiracy is real, and I think that maybe could happen. I'm not entirely sure, but the United States has been in negotiations with the Taliban in the past. The Trump administration had a deal with the Taliban, and that's another thing that I want to talk to you guys about. The fact that a high-ranking Taliban leader was released from prison thanks to negotiations between the Taliban and the Trump administration. What's crazy is that the Trump administration, Donald Trump himself, and all of Trump's sycophants were bashing Obama for years because he did the Iran deal. Oh, he did the Iran deal. He made a deal with the Iranians. It's like Chamberlain did with Hitler, blah, 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 blah. And what happened? Trump did the Taliban deal. High-ranking Taliban leader released from prison. Complete and total troop withdrawal, which is really utterly contrary to what Biden wanted initially. Biden initially did not want complete troop withdrawal. Biden wanted a moderate American U.S. military presence within Afghanistan, just enough to support Afghan soldiers enough to curtail the Taliban's incursions. That's not what happened. What has been happening is the complete fulfillment of what Trump wanted, which is complete troop withdrawal. And now the Taliban is roaming everywhere, killing, raping, beheading. It's like Iraq. That's what's happening in Afghanistan, everyone. It's like what happened in Iraq when ISIS unleashed itself all over the country. It's like what happened in Syria. That's what's happening in Afghanistan. And the Taliban is a joke when it comes to military capacity and capabilities. The Taliban is a complete joke. These are a bunch of malnourished, noodle-armed drug dealers from the streets of Kabul and the mountains of the countryside of that country where they eat flatbread and smoke opium. And the Taliban could easily be defeated within weeks by any sort of formidable Western military force, not just the US. It could be the French, it could be the Germans. I mean, the Taliban would be defeated. And rest assured that whatever happens in Afghanistan, some sort of outside force that is far more powerful and far more technologically advanced than the Taliban is going to intervene. American isolationism is becoming extremely popular. And I think that's the reason why Biden acquiesced to the pressure, because, as I said initially, Biden did not want a complete troop withdrawal. Biden wanted a moderate U.S. military presence in Afghanistan. The Obama administration wanted complete troop withdrawal. Obama wanted a complete withdrawal of U.S. troops. And there was a reduction of U.S. military presence in 2014 that was made due to the policy of the Obama administration. Then Trump came into office. There was the Taliban deal, which is amazing because Trump bashed Obama for doing the Iran deal, but he did the Taliban deal. What's the difference at the end of the day? I mean, the Taliban is probably a hell of a lot worse than Iran. And now the Biden administration is simply carrying out what Trump wanted. That's it. And no matter what Biden does, it's a lose-lose situation for him, because if he didn't do a complete troop withdrawal, then he would be called an interventionist. He would be called a bootlicker. He'd be called a man of. Hold on, I got a freaking bitching cat that wants to get out. Oh my god! Oh my god! Get out! Oh, get out! Get! Holy moly! But anyway, yeah, it's complete nonsense. And because Biden is, it's amazing that Trump supporters are now bashing Biden, which is ridiculous. They're saying, "Oh, look at this disaster in Afghanistan." The fact is that this would have happened under Trump. If Trump carried the troops out, if Trump got all the troops out and got all the troops to be absent in Afghanistan, the same thing would have happened. Taliban would have just come right forward. But they'll say, well, the difference is that Trump would actually do something, but he'd kick people's asses. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact. Even if that were true, it doesn't change the fact that the same thing would have happened under Trump. It's not Biden's fault that this is happening. It's just a joke. The whole thing is a joke. Some giant outside power is going to intervene. Biden doesn't want to do a complete military policy to fix this problem, because it'll look bad on him. Because then you have all of these libertarian, or I should say libertard types, who are going to come out and they're going to be like, you see, he's just a military interventionist working for the big military corporate powers that run the world. So he can't do that because it'll look bad for him, because isolationism it's the name of the game now. It's the trend. And it's a lose-lose situation for him. That's the thing. If Biden does something militarily to squash the Taliban, the liberals will praise him and say, well, that's good, to hell with the Taliban. But then you're going to have the righties who are going to be like, he's a military interventionist, no wars. But if Trump, if this was happening under Trump's watch and Trump dropped the mother of all bombs on the Taliban, then they would be praising him. And then the libs would be like, oh, look, it's a failure. This is happening under Trump, blah, 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 blah. It's just a joke. The whole thing's a freaking joke. Do you think my country will join the Taliban? Hasn't Pakistan, to a great extent, been a huge supporter of the Taliban? And the Taliban is headquartered in Pakistan. Pakistan doesn't really do much about it. So I'm not entirely sure how that works. Like, I know there are people in Pakistan who hate the Taliban. So I don't know how Pakistan is just tolerating this. Oh, because they're both Muslim. That's why. Gothic, Old Slavic, Persic script. I wrote something along the lines of Afghanistan is rightful Serbian clay. But it's amazing that the media hasn't been reporting this as much. But the fact is that what's happening in Afghanistan right now is pretty much what was happening in Iraq back in 2014, 2015. You have stories of beheadings. Hell, there was an event that took place. Now, this reportedly took place, but there was one massacre that took place in just one area in Afghanistan, in which around 1,000 or so people were mass executed. There was a mass execution in Afghanistan. Around 1,000 people were butchered. And then in one other area, hundreds of people were killed. And from what I've read, there were people who had their eyeballs gouged out, people who were beheaded. It's exactly what was happening in 2014. The only difference is that the Taliban doesn't have all of the advanced filming technology and equipment that ISIS supposedly had. And we don't even know who was holding those cameras. Remember those videos that ISIS was making? It's like Hollywood tier productions of mass butcherings of human beings. And nobody could figure out who the hell was holding the camera, which is crazy. For all we know, it was some Los Angeles film guild that was doing it. Who knows? What is your opinion on Ronald Reagan, and why is he the greatest leader who ever lived? I would never say he was the greatest leader who ever lived. I don't know. Supposedly, he was just a guy who boosted up the morale of the U.S. people, is what I've heard. But I wouldn't say he's the greatest leader ever. I mean, the guy, before he became president, the people around him were making deals with the Iranians, saying, "Oh yeah, release the hostages just after Reagan wins." And that actually could be happening between the U.S. government. It wouldn't surprise me at all that that's actually what's happening between Trump's guys and the Taliban. Wouldn't doubt it whatsoever. They're probably. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that they're having negotiations with them and they're saying, "Hey, release the hostages after the next election." Who knows? Oh, you were joking about Reagan. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I know Pakistan is a big center for the Taliban. I regret live streaming. I'll be honest with you. I regret it because it just doesn't feel the same as when you do an actual video. It doesn't feel as powerful because everybody just wants to watch you live, and the people who missed it aren't going to watch the whole thing. So maybe I should just do a pre-recording. I don't know. But the whole thing is messed up. This whole Taliban situation, it just marks a huge trend right now in the US government, and that is isolationism. Bottom line, I've been saying this over and over again. That's what you're watching right now, everybody. You're watching America return to its isolationist ways. What do I think about the Taliban saying that they have the true? I mean, I don't even think the Taliban is following Islam fundamentally. They're following Islam to a certain extent, yes, but I mean, the idea of just going around and like the idea of going around into random neighborhoods, and the Taliban has been doing this. If you have, let's say, more than one daughter, they'll say, okay, give one of your daughters to a Taliban fighter to be a sex slave, and they're kidnapping girls and making them sex slaves. I mean, I don't know where that's taught in Islam, where you can just walk up to random people and make people sex slaves. I don't know. Maybe they're reading Craig Wynn's book or something, but and then also like the idea of the fact that the Taliban fighters will engage in pedophilia. This is a fact. They will engage in man boy sickness, and that's, I mean, I guess you can make the argument and say, well, in the Quran, in Jannah, in heaven, there will be young boys, but I don't think there's a hadith that you can find that says that when you're fighting in war, you can just take young boys. I don't know. These people are demons. Okay, cool. That's cool. I think your videos. Sure. Okay. Those poor women handing over. Yeah. Oh no. I hope the Danish Nazi doesn't pop up, please. I hope this Danish SS guy. That's the thing. Is everyone's talking about the Taliban. For years, I was talking about the rise of the Nazis, and I'm still talking about that. I still believe that. And the thing is, everyone's like, "Oh, the Taliban, this and Islam, that." Yeah, Islam is a threat and all. I'm not denying that, but man, I'm really worried about the European Taliban. That's what I'm really worried about. Those crazy European dudes. I was reading about the sack of Rome in 1527. Absolutely crazy ass history. I mean, we've all heard about how, the Vandals attacked Rome and the Goths and the Visigoths, and we've talked about the how the what was it, the Arabs attacked Rome, but or we'll talk about how the Nazis occupied Rome, blah 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 blah. But the most horrendous invasion of Rome happened in 1527, and I've heard very few people talk about this. It was done by the imperial troops of Charles V, who was the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. And you see, most of the people in this army were actually German Lutheran mercenaries. There were around 10,000 German mercenaries. And they were part of this military order called the Landsknecht, which means in English, the the servants of the land, something like that. And these people, oh my god, they invaded Rome and they just butchered everything they found. They raped kids, they raped women openly on the street. They went into an orphanage and they killed all the orphans. They went into a hospital and they killed everybody in the hospital, patients and all. Um, they just killed everything that they saw. They killed everybody, everyone that they saw. They killed. There was no mercy. Um, and that's the European Taliban. You know, be it crazy Lutheran fanatics, be it uh, Nazis, be it um, German fighters in World War One. I mean, you've always had this sickness in Europe, you know, and that's one thing that always worries me. My son served in Afghanistan and said the same thing. Only use women to breed, but all want little. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pedophilia is a huge thing in Afghanistan. People don't even realize that. Yeah, I've heard about the last Jew living in Afghanistan. Yep, I know. God knows what happened to him. Didn't the regular Afghani military also perpetuate those perversions? Yep. It's not just the Taliban, man. It's something that's just it's pervasive. It's all over the country. It's part of the society. So I'm saying I don't really have much sympathy for the culture. I mean, I have sympathy for people in Afghanistan who are truly in danger, but I don't really have sympathy for the culture of Afghanistan. I just don't because it's just a crazy culture. Crazy culture. Um, I'm gonna have to zoom in a little bit here because my eyesight ain't so hot right now. Pretty much better. Didn't the Germans cut down like 90 something percent of population then? When in Rome in 1527 or when the Chinese will corrupt the Afghani warlords with bribes? Yeah, who knows? But I'm not worried about the Chinese. I don't care about the Chinese. They're a joke of a nation. Big paper tiger is what the Chinese are. Forget China, dude. Everybody's so worried about freaking China. Those people can't even take care of their own people. Oh yeah, the Landsknecht, they butchered tens of thousands of people in Rome. They say that around 45,000 people were killed, wounded, or exiled when the Landsknecht sacked Rome. What, dude? What is your obsession with Jews? Theodore, aren't those Afghans from the Jewish tribe? I don't think the Afghans are Jews. No, I've heard this a million times from people. They're like, "Oh yeah, they're actually Jews." Like, what's your evidence? Afghans are not Jews. Afghans are just a whole hodgepodge of different peoples who conquered that land. Like there's Turks, Mongolians who were in Afghanistan, and then of course you have the Indo-European peoples who settled there thousands and thousands of years ago. The Indo-Europeans or the Indo-Iranians, Indo-Aryans, and that's probably like the majority demographic in Afghanistan are those people who are related to Iranians from even before Islam, um, and they're just all mixed up. They're all mixed up. The language of Afghanistan is not Hebrew. It's not Arabic. It's Farsi. It's Persian. Farsi is Fars. Persian. That's their language is Persian. The microphone that I use is it is a Heil microphone. This microphone is from 2010, by the way. It's over a decade old. I bought this over 10 years ago. I had no idea how to use it, and I didn't have the willpower to learn it, and I kind of just gave up on it. But then after a while, I'm thinking, man, why don't I just pick up that mic? Because everyone told me that it's a really good mic. So I had the willpower and the fortitude to research actually how to set this thing up, and I did. I believe our USA government is arming terrorists. We overturn governments and the Taliban moves in. No, we've left guns, ammunition. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that the United States government allowed this to happen so that they could use the Taliban as some sort of a reason to allow Turkey to control it because America doesn't want to control it anymore. So I don't know. Who knows? Why did the Afghan military leave? I mean, why did the Afghan military just surrender? That's the big question. I mean, those guys were pretty well trained. It's a mystery. I need to do more research on this. I'm gonna look this up right now. Hold on. Why did uh, Afghan? Why did the Afghan military surrender so quickly? That's the real question that I have. And the Taliban guys aren't that good of fighters. They'll say, well, because the Taliban was they're just absolute badasses. Oh, I see. That's why they folded so quickly. They had no NATO air support. That answers the question. Okay, guys, not a conspiracy. Just drop the conspiracies already. It's because they had no U.S. air support. That's it. No U.S. air support. They were so used to getting U.S. air support, and then now they didn't have it, so they didn't know what to do, and they surrendered. See, a little Google search gives you the information. Um, it's just a complete mess up. Yeah, I'm not entirely certain if this whole thing's a conspiracy or not. It's just a giant mess up. What will happen to the Christians in Afghanistan? Nothing good, I'll tell you that. Taliban will kill Christians 100%. Um, those guys aren't. This is not the PLO, you know. And the thing about Christianity in Afghanistan, as opposed to Christianity in a country in, let's say, in a country like Iraq or Syria, is that all of the Christians in Afghanistan are converts. All of them. They're just converts because Christianity really has no history in Afghanistan. It's not like Syria or in Iraq or Egypt where you have millions of Christians or where you had millions of Christians. Um, the um, the Afghan Christians are all converts. These are people who watched TBN or they watched some kind of televangelist and they decided to convert. That's how most of these people convert to Christianity. Or some missionary went there when the U.S. soldiers were occupying the country and they preached the gospel there, and these Afghans converted to Christianity. That's how pretty much all these Afghans became Christian. And so in the Islamic religion, if you convert to a different religion, you are seen as deserving of death. Bottom line, they will kill you. So these Christians in Afghanistan will be killed. I'm not saying all of them, but definitely there will be Christian blood spilt. I have seen videos of people being butchered by the Taliban, and I saw this one video. It was from years ago. It was from the early 2000s, and it was of a Afghan man who had converted to Christianity, and the Taliban just chopped his head off. And I saw the video. This was back in 2000. I don't remember 2008, 2009. It was really heartbreaking. Um, Wait, hold on a second. I'm getting some really interesting questions here. Um, who do you think would win, the Taliban or Mexican drug cartel? That's a good question. I'm gonna have to go with the Taliban. I think the Taliban would beat the Mexican drug cartel. The Mexican drug cartel isn't as good as people think they are. They're just a bunch of drunks and drug addicts with AK-47s, and they think they're tough because they can scare poor Mexican peasants. The reality is that there was a civil war in Mexico in like 2013, 2014. There was a small civil war that took place in the Mexican province of Michoacan. It was in a rural region called Agua Caliente, or no, Tierra Caliente, and it was between peasants who were tired of being exploited by the cartels and cartel fighters. And the peasants just whooped these cartel guys' asses in no time. It was crazy, and the reason is because the peasants are used to, having to shoot a deer for food. So if you could take out a deer, you could take out a human being pretty easily with just a regular hunting rifle, and that's what these peasants were doing. They were taking these guys out like they were animals being hunted down. Um, Cartel guys, a lot of these guys are cowards. A lot of these guys aren't really used to being seriously resisted. Taliban guys, a lot of these Afghan Mujahideen guys, they have a lot of experience. They fought the Russians, they fought the Americans, they fought NATO. So I'm not saying the Taliban guys are amazing fighters, but against the cartels, they would be, I think, the superior force. That's just my estimation. China might be a paper tiger, but that is where the money. Yeah, I know, but they're a paper tiger, dude. They are. They're just a malnourished country. As I've said, like even their military infrastructure isn't completely um it's not completely or adequately built, and their quality of life isn't as good as a neighboring country like Japan. Who's Bulgarian? Oh, Afghans? Maybe. I don't know. Like Afghans are, if you look at Afghan people, they're just really mixed. You see some Afghan people who are really dark, but then you'll see Afghan people who look 100% European. Like you'll see these Taliban guys who, if you were just to shave the beard off and drop him in Alabama or Louisiana and give him a Southern accent or like a Bayou Cajun accent, nobody would think they're Afghan. Nobody. Everybody would think that they were Cajun. Everybody would think that they were like ethnically French or something. Those people are straight up white. A lot of those people are white. They're Indo-Europeans. The Mexicans would win? I don't know, dude. I think the Taliban would kick the cartel's asses. That's never a good point. The Taliban, they have religion. A lot of these cartel guys don't really have religion. They're just money hungry thieves. And it's difficult to die for money. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to die for money, but you would die for God. So the Taliban definitely has that spiritual advantage over the cartel. Studies showed that up until now, America used $6.4 trillion in Asia. Uh, maybe. What's your theory on Eastern Orthodox males and their incel problem? Okay, I have. Okay, Sophia Films. Please elaborate more on this. I have not heard about this phenomena of Eastern Orthodox dudes not getting women. But I will tell you this though. I will tell you this. There is a problem in the Catholic Church of Catholic dudes being incel. There's a lot of incels in the Catholic Church. I would say that out of all of the religious groups, there are more lonely men in the Catholic Church than any of the other religious organizations. They are more Catholic men who are lonely. The highest rate of lonely Catholic men, the highest rate of lonely men in any religion is the Catholic Church. I think they have the highest rate of lonely men, more so than any other religion. Muslims get married, Protestants get married, even those like non-denominational Starbucks Christians, they get married. Mormons get married, Jews get married, Buddhists get married, Hindus get married. Dude, Catholic men don't get women. They don't. Catholic women get men, but that's because they're women and women can get a man anytime they want. That's the advantage that women have is that a woman, even an ugly woman, could easily get a man. But men are the ones who have to kind of go through a struggle. They got to talk and they got to be confident. They got to get the girl's number, and even that, you're not even on the strike one or whatever they call it. You're not even scratching the surface at that point. And I would say that out of all the religions in the world, the one that has the highest number of lonely men is the Catholic Church. You walk into any Catholic church in the world, I don't care, in America, Italy, Spain, you'll see a bunch of men who are lonely, and then they finally get a woman once they stop going to church. That's when they finally get women. You know, and I think a lot of that has to do with the way that the Catholic Church is the way that the Catholic Church teaches things. I think that a lot of it has to do with that. So like the priests would come up and they'll start bashing the men. I've seen this before. They'll say, "Oh, the men, you guys aren't getting." I heard one priest on the pulpit. He said, "You guys aren't getting dressed for church. The women are, but the men aren't." And then the Catholic girls, they don't get married to Catholic men. That's the thing. They get married to like atheists and Satanists and stuff. That's an exaggeration. They get married to Protestants or they get married to atheists, but they don't get married to Catholic dudes. They don't like them for some reason. I don't know why. But Catholic women, man, they don't like their own kind. I don't know what else to tell you. Let's see here. 80,000 white incel. Sounds like the title. That sounds like the title of a movie. Incel, rated R for disturbing material. They gave up. They knew would be no help. Yep, that's why that makes perfect sense now. It's not people think, oh, it's all a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. America gave them no air support. They had no air support. They surrendered. Bottom line, they had no way of winning. Fun fact: both us and Serbia were selling guns leftovers from the war to Middle East. Yep, Croatia was one of the biggest arms dealers to rebels in the Syrian civil war that sparked back in 2012, 2013. Yeah, I read about that. Croatia had a big part in that. Why do Afghans do botcha? Because they're sickos. I mean, anybody who does this is a sick person. I can't fathom nor comprehend why people do these sick things, but they do, and that's all I need to know is that it's no damn good. Sophia, the Greeks were in Afghanistan and they loved their man on it. Yeah. I've also heard that Alexander the Great went there and it sort of brought this culture to them, but it's like that was like 3,000 years ago. I mean, it's stuck there for so long because those people are sick. Taliban is like a blood cult. Yeah. People are sick, man. Okay, hold on. Hello, Madrid Madrid Dick 101. What? Yes, absolutely. Cartels are high school bullies. Yep. That's exactly what they are. They're bullies who never grew up. Let me see here. If the Taliban comes to Pakistan, are we Christians also in danger? I mean, yeah, of course you guys would be in danger, but what's the likelihood of the Taliban invading Pakistan? You know what I mean? Like the United States defeated Pakistan in 2 weeks. I don't think that's likely. Unless the only way that I could see that happening is if enough of the Pakistani people themselves support the Taliban. Now, if you have enough Pakistani civilians who support the Taliban, then yes, that could happen. But I mean, what is the likelihood of people in Pakistan, of the whole country of Pakistan being invaded by the Taliban? Will your organization help Christians get out of Afghanistan? We have no contacts in Afghanistan. It's impossible. Taliban is like a blood cult. Okay, yes. Theodore, this is a disturbing. Okay, I already read this. What role of Turkey in Afghanistan after? Yeah, so supposedly, initially Turkey was supposed to take control of the airport in Kabul, and I think that plan is still on the way to being carried out. Um, but because Turkey is the second most armed country in NATO, and because Turkey would be filling in for the U.S. in Afghanistan, I am going to assume that eventually Turkey is going to ask for um, um, allied forces to join with the Turkish military to be a stabilizing force in Afghanistan. But eventually, Turkey is going to. I think eventually Turkey is eventually going to try to stick a foothold in Afghanistan so that it could have a hegemony within Central Asia. Let's not forget what countries surround Afghanistan. You have all these Turkic countries. Tajikistan isn't Turkic. Somebody corrected me on that, but you have a lot of these Turkic Central Asian countries, and Turkey has this pan-Turanian vision of leading a Turkic NATO, and that can only happen if Turkey has some sort of military hegemony in the Islamic world, especially within that cluster of countries. So I think Turkey wants to definitely have a military presence in Central Asia. so that it could become a major military force for the Muslim world to follow, especially those Turkic countries. But at the same time, you have Russia, and Russia not too long ago had control over Afghanistan. So I think Russia is going to be working for some kind of military intervention in Afghanistan. That's exactly what it did in Syria and Iraq. Um, it created it created an intervention force, or it established an intervention force in those countries. So I wouldn't be surprised to see one day Russia and Afghanistan again. Yeah, the cartels probably have way more money than the Taliban. That's true, but that doesn't change the fact that the cartels got their asses kicked by like simple peasants. Once the Taliban gets the opium farms at full blast, they will get their, yeah, tons of money. And also they're sitting on like $1 trillion worth of minerals. Do the Afghans have a resistance force or tribal militias against the Taliban? Yeah, I've actually heard this before. I read this today that what could happen eventually is that the tribal forces could be a major, like a major entity of stability for Afghanistan, because the tribal forces would be the biggest threat to the Taliban, or a threat to the Taliban, and then by that could act as a check to balance out the Taliban. There are a lot of incels in general because of what the sexual revolution has done and destroyed the family. Yeah, I know, but that yeah, I've heard this before, but it's like you got to give me some more detail. What does that entail, and how does that lead to inceldom? You know what I mean? These online converts in the Eastern Orthodox Church are all women hating incels. Yeah, I know. I've noticed this, but I was wondering why you think that is. I mean, why do you think that that is the case? How did this happen? That's the question that I have for you. Let's see. U.S. aided the Taliban. Yep, yep. And if Russia intervenes in Afghanistan, I would not doubt for a second that the U.S. would arm the Taliban against the Soviets or against the Russians as a proxy, or the Turks. I think women have standards that are too high. 6 feet tall, six-figure salary, and six pack. In hold on. Uh, Taliban had helped to kill off the leader of the Mujahideen. Yeah, I read about that. I remember that. Yep. Osama bin Laden was involved with that. Do you think you will have to have glasses someday? I already have glasses. I'm just not wearing them. Russia will defeat Turkey, uh, and Constantinople will return back. Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so. Do I recommend Taylor Marshall? I don't know. I don't like recommending people. You got to make your own decisions. Because there was one thing that Taylor Marshall did that I really didn't like. It's when he started working with that Austrian Catholic guy. I mean, it's like I don't blame him for doing that, because this Austrian guy did throw the Pachamama idol into the river. So it's like, okay, I don't blame him. But the question I have is, does Taylor Marshall have the discernment to look into who this guy was? Because this guy worked for the AFD, which is essentially a fascist, nationalistic political party in Germany. So it's just weird for me. Anyone think Afghanistan will get reinvaded? Not by the US. I don't think it'll happen unless America wants to continuously exhaust itself. I think America is going to do what America does best, and that is rely on a powerful country like Turkey to fill in fill in for America's position. My best bet in this whole thing is that you are going to see a power struggle between Turkey and Russia over Afghanistan. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think eventually that's what's going to happen. The Turks can bring the whirling dervish and say him. I only have the three fives: 5 foot tall, 5 figure salary, and 5 foot wide. I mean, 5 figure salary ain't bad, man. Ted, bring back the stash and wear the glasses. You will look like your father. Yeah. Do you think the Taliban should be on Twitter? Well, no, I don't. And I find it really weird that Twitter would allow the Taliban to have Twitter accounts. It's so disturbing. It's almost like they want the Taliban there. Yeah, Alexander Shugel. Yep. Will Muslim al Shishani come to Afghanistan by way? I don't know, dude. I don't know who that is. Who's Muslim al Shishani? Shishani. That sounds like Chechen. The Muslim, the Chechen. Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's a Chechen guy. I've seen him before. Wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt that the Afghanistan will become just another international center point for the worldwide jihad, just like Iraq. How long do you think the Taliban will be in power? I don't know. That's hard for me to say, but I think eventually they're going to get eclipsed by an outside power that's more militarily capable than them. Easy divorce and pornography. Okay. Sophia films because Pakistani think they are the best people who follow the blank. Turkey and Russia are mortal enemies. Yep. Okay. Also, modern divorce laws. Okay. Did you see Brown's debate on purgatory with Milliam? No, I have not. I'll have to look that up. Brown got destroyed. That's good. I don't like that guy. Are you familiar with the ethnic cleansing of hundreds of thousands of Volga Germans in Russia prior to 1939? No. Well, I've heard that the Volga Germans were living in Russia. I didn't know that they were wiped out like that. Other ladies are loading up on cats and Netflix subscriptions. Dude, that sounds like me. Now, now that its Afghan saga is approaching a closure, could the U.S. split up Germany like in the good old days to bring joy to the rest of Europe? I don't think it's going to happen, man. Theodore told us about a case where a priest used matchmaking as a bait for predation. Yup, absolutely. That was freaky. Ted, I have an incredibly important quest for you. Have you heard of Dr. E. Michael Jones? What is up with the EU, Theo? Do you think it will split up? I think eventually, yeah. The EU has already fragmented with Brexit. That's fragmentation. So I think eventually the EU is just going to become something else. It's going to evolve into just a giant German war machine. Good riddance to Brown. I remember your debate with him. You made your way more sense. Yep, I did, man. It was a great debate. Great debate. Good times, man. Good times. I loved it. Eurovision by Laibach. I love the dude. I love European music from like the 80s and 90s. It sounds so good. Even stuff from the early 2000s. It sounds so cool. One thing I've always liked about the eastern part of Germany or the eastern part of Europe is that they have these simple ways of looking at food the food is hearty, but at the same time, it's almost like it's just really cheap and simple and almost primitive in a way. Not primitive, but it's just how do I say it? Retro. It's like lots of canned foods, mixing it all together type of thing. Cheap and easy stuff that they learned, stuff that they had to do after the Second World War. East Germans using ketchup as a form of tomato sauce. I think that's hilarious. 2035, 2038 time, World War III year. Could be. I think eventually something's gonna happen by like I think by 2020, dude, 2027, that is the year we all have to be worried about. 2027, I'm telling you, something crazy is gonna happen. I'm not saying that World War III is gonna erupt, but I think by 2027, we're gonna know more or less the parties involved in the next global conflict. And I think by the 2030s or 40s, I mean, I think maybe by the 30s, you're going to start seeing some bombs getting dropped. 345 ways to use pastetta. Dude, I've seen some interesting European recipes. Like, there's this one soup that they eat in Russia. It's called solyanka, and it's just like whatever cold cut meats you can find, whatever cold cut meats that were left off on the tray in the Soviet deli that nobody wanted, you just put it in a pot and boil it. Onions and pickles. It's just a fascinating way to fascinating, and there's this sense of nostalgia in it, and that's why I think a lot of people today even do these recipes because it gives them a sense of nostalgia. Bigos, is that what it's called in Poland? For example, in Germany, they have this dish where they have pasta mixed with ketchup, which is disgusting. But they pasta with ketchup, but it's not just ketchup. It's ketchup mixed with some kind of tomatoes, and then mixed in with butter and sugar, and then they ladle it on this plate of pasta, and on top of the pasta, they put Jaeger schnitzel, which is literally deep fried sausage. One time I did my own version of this. I did not use ketchup. I used tomato sauce, and I mixed the tomato sauce with butter and onions, and then I poured it on the pasta, and I made the Jaeger schnitzel. It was delicious. I mean, if that's what they were eating in East Germany, it wasn't so bad. Nobody was starving. It's crazy how they say that 95% of the Afghan military is illiterate and can't even spell their own name. How are they supposed to fight? Dude, you could fight and be illiterate. I think the reason why they surrendered is because they had no U.S. air support. They were so used to getting American Air Force support that they didn't know how to deal with not having that. Um, Leftover meats with sauerkraut and cabbage. Yeah, that sounds like some Soviet food. There's something totally nostalgic about it. There's something totally nostalgic about listening to that retro 80s, 90s European music and then having that hot soup in the winter. I don't know. There's something crazy about it. Something magical. Something magical about all that. When I was on a trip to Czechia, they served us bologna for breakfast and the same bologna, but deep fried for supper. Oh, that sounds good. When your cold cuts are not quite expired yet, but they are not the freshest, so you just boil it all with cabbage. Yep. Is this your 20-year anniversary of September 11th? There could be another 9/11. Yeah, I've read about that. Soldiers, why aren't you pulling the trigger? I can't read, sir. You don't need to be illiterate, or you don't need to be a good reader to fight in war. What is your view on the Greek Orthodox Church? I mean, dude, I don't know. That requires like a book of an answer. I mean, it's I don't know. Can someone answer Julius's question about the Greek Orthodox Church? It's a great church. I mean, it's Orthodox. It has Christianity. It's fine. Theologically, it's fine. It's the Greek Orthodox Church. I don't know what else to tell you. It's like asking me, what's your opinion on the Serbian Orthodox Church? It's Christianity with a Serbian blend. Greek Orthodox Church is Christianity, but with with gyros after mass. Now we're talking about birth control. As long as all the soldiers speak the same language, the army should be somewhat. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure people who were fighting for William Wallace didn't know how to read either, but damn it, they knew how to fight. I knew an Afghan dude who didn't know how to read. Years ago, I knew this Afghan guy. He was an Afghan immigrant, okay? This dude was crazy. He didn't know how to read. But dang it, if you ever messed with him, he would get pissed at you. And I remember there was this Afghan guy that I knew. He had a food truck in the Bay Area where I was living. There was this there was this he had a food truck parked right in front of the Oakland BART station. There was this he parked his food truck right next to a payphone. And he didn't have a cell. This is before everybody had a cell phone. He didn't have a cell phone. So he gave the number for the payphone to his wife, and he said, "Honey, you know, you want to call me up? Here's the number for the payphone." So uh so this black guy comes to his food truck asking for some food or whatever, and the payphone starts ringing. And this Afghan guy says, don't pick that up. That's my wife calling. Black guy is like, who the hell are you, man? He picks up the payphone and goes, hello, who's this? This Afghan guy, I am not exaggerating, pulls out this super long ass knife and chases out, and this black guy runs for his life. True story. True story. Don't mess around with Afghans. Oh, the Danish guy is back. Please don't. Please don't. I'm not gonna say it. Okay, I'm not gonna say it. Thoughts on gematria and Zohar? Yeah, it's just Jewish occultism. I don't really care about that. Oh God. Yeah. Anyway. No, please don't. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Danish guy, don't do it, please. Dad's okay. He's just fine. Is that a star of what? Oh, you're talking to somebody else. I don't have no stars on anything. Yeah, Braveheart's a masterpiece. Absolutely. But yeah, the whole thing with Afghanistan is a complete mess. What really annoys me is the whole blame game thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's Biden's fault." How is it Biden's fault? I don't get it. How is it his fault? Did he wake up in the morning and he's like, "You know what? Kamala, I want them good old Afghan boys to start killing people. Damn it, I just feel like seeing Afghan people dead. That's what I want." How is it Biden's fault? Because if Trump got reelected and he carried out this plan, the same shit would be happening, okay? The same shit would be happening. And why did we condemn Obama for doing the Iran deal, but we didn't condemn Trump for doing the Taliban deal? Hypocrisy or what? I mean, really. Yeah, that's the thing. Everyone's because the conservatives will say on one hand they'll say, "Oh, Joe Biden has no control. He doesn't even know what he's doing." But then they'll say, "Oh yeah, it's his fault for what happened in Afghanistan." Well, does he have control or not? That sounded like Bill Cosby. I just want to see dead Afghan. I love to see a dead Afghan. Just love to see some Afghan children crying, refugees. I want to see a refugee crisis, more refugees. Let the Germans become more nationalistic. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. A lot of these Afghan refugees, they want to go to Germany. They don't even want to be in Turkey because in Turkey people abuse them. They want to be in Germany because they want to get that. They want to get those 800 euros a month. So what's going to happen if you have all these Afghan refugees in Germany? Nationalism. That's what's going to happen. Hitler's coming back, guys. I like refugees. I like them. I like refugees. A lot of fun, them refugees. We had a refugee in my house. I gave him bread pudding. How is it his fault? I don't get it. How? And that's the thing about reading the news. How long can you go reading the news? I mean, how many news stories are you going to find? How many news stories? How many news stories are you going to find? You're just going to keep reading stuff, article after article after article. When do you end? And most of these articles just they just declare the obvious anyway. They just declare stuff like when I read these articles, I'll start reading them and I'm like, oh yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Oh yeah, I knew that already. Oh yeah, I knew that. I was reading this article that was talking about how the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan marks the beginning of American isolationism. Duh, yeah, knew that already. Well, Germany is a hell of a lot better than Afghanistan. I gave up the news a long time ago. I prefer talking to people. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the news is helpful, but I think if you have the news, but then you have your own intuition, that's always very helpful. Uh, yeah, I know, man. It's horrific. It's horrific. The whole thing is a nightmare. Anyway, I've been here for an hour, guys. If you have any more questions, just shoot them out. You knew a Brazilian said of a contest who got married? He made it, guys. He made it. He got chosen by natural selection to breed. What a lucky guy. Most of these trad dudes don't get anywhere. So what's wrong with living with Germans as neighbors? How? I mean, what makes Germans bad neighbors in your opinion? What are your thoughts on Pharaonism? What is Pharaoh? Is that like Hebrew Israelite stuff? We was pharaohs and shit type stuff, or what? We was pharaohs in Egypt, yo. That's what's up. That's what's up. Is that pharaoh worship? I don't even know what that is. I don't know, dude. Library of Congress. I don't know. He got caught. That's the thing. I don't know all the news stories. I don't know every single news story in the world. That's the thing. Get prenuptial agreement before marriage. I mean, what a awkward thing to do. Yeah, I love you and everything, but I want you to sign this, okay? Yeah, that sounds annoying. Do you think the Enlightenment brought about much of the empiricism? And yes, I do. Definitely, the Enlightenment had some kind of connection with the rise of evolutionism. Do you prefer blondes or brunettes? I don't know, dude. Probably brunettes. I think the blonde girl thing is kind of overblown. Why aren't you married? I don't know, to be honest with you. Oh my god, dude, Sean, why are you asking me this question? I thought it's already been established why Andrew doesn't work here anymore. I thought I already explained this. Andrew got arrested for and charged with child endangerment. We had to let him go. Bottom line, that's simple. It's not rocket science. Carmen Salinas. Good, I'm brunette. Okay. I judge the government before I judge the entire people. I always judge the people before I judge anything else. What are your thoughts on 2022? It's going to be another shitty year for us. I'm sorry, guys. I want to marry you. Oh no, we got marriage proposals online, everybody. God, I don't even know how you look like. Thoughts on Father Martin? I don't understand it. Father Martin is a sodomite. There's just no doubt in my mind. The guy is a psychopath. He needs to be investigated 100%. That guy is sketchy. Most likely some kind of predator. Most likely. The guy's a freak. What do you think of the similarities of the Saigon evac? I've heard that they are similarities. I'm not entirely sure if those similarities are justified. Um, what I've heard is that the Taliban was a lot worse than the Viet Cong. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they are definitely similarities. But maybe not. They're not completely. It's not completely the same. Would you marry an Orthodox or a Catholic? It depends. Is she good looking or what? I don't care if a girl is Orthodox or Catholic. Anyway, I've been here for an hour. If you guys have any questions, I'll send a pic on your Facebook. It's just got a striking resemblance. Okay, cool. Oh. Anyway, guys, 2023 is when Joe Biden passed away. Kamala Harris come on power. Oh, maybe. Who knows? All right, guys. I'll talk to you all later. God bless. Be well.